Tonight, the breaking news: United finds loose bolts on several of its Boeing 737 MAX 9s. This comes just days after a plane wall blew out mid-flight on the same type of aircraft. We've got the new information just coming in. The terrifying discovery: hundreds of flights are canceled after that scary incident at 16,000 feet.
There was moments of, am I going to make it?
The door panel just found by investigators as we learn about warning lights in the cockpit. Breaking news: a hotel explosion rocks downtown Fort Worth. After a weekend snowstorm, more dangerous weather is sweeping the middle of the country, bringing blizzard warnings and tornado threats. New questions tonight about Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin's secret hospitalization, why the public and the president weren't notified. And liftoff and the historic launch, why the first moon lander in over 50 years is in jeopardy.
Space exploration is a very risky business. Hopefully they can not just get it to the moon, but actually land it on the surface.
Good evening to our viewers in the West. I'm Nora O'Donnell. Thank you for being with us on this Monday night. We want to begin tonight with a major new development after that terrifying incident in the sky. We learned just a short time ago about troubling new safety concerns and installation issues on Boeing's 737 MAX 9s. Those could be related to what caused the in-flight blowout on board an Alaska Airlines plane. Remember, the cabin lost pressure, horrifying passengers as items, including an iPhone that remained intact, was actually sucked out of the plane. The data from the cockpit voice recorder was erased, making the investigation more difficult. Well, today, the head of the NTSB said had that plane been flying any higher, it could have been catastrophic for the 171 passengers on board. As a result, every Boeing 737 MAX 9 was grounded. That's more than 170 planes, and for days now, these inspections have been ongoing. So late today, United revealing they have found what some of these issues are. Chris Van Cleve is our senior transportation correspondent. He's been on this since it happened, and he joins us now from Portland International Airport, where the plane took off from. So good evening, Chris. What do we know about these safety issues that they have just found out about?
Well, Nora, good evening. The investigation here remains centered on the 737 MAX 9 behind us here, but the concern about the airplane is growing after United Airlines began inspecting its MAX 9s and on a handful of planes found loose bolts that hold that piece of the plane in place. Sources tell us it's at least 5 airplanes, but those inspections are ongoing. United believes those loose bolts stem from the manufacturing process.
Tonight, investigators finally have their hands on a key piece of evidence: the 63-pound door panel that blew off an Alaska Airlines 737 MAX 9 Friday night. With a loud bang and such force, it ripped open the locked cockpit door 26 rows away, sucking the headset off the first officer and literally pulling the shirt off a passenger. Nearly the entire cabin shows signs of damage, like these mangled seats next to the gaping hole that were fortunately unoccupied.
There was moments of, am I going to make it?
As oxygen masks fell, passenger Nicholas Hoke texted family what he feared could be his final messages.
That I love them and I'm not sure what's going to happen here. I'm in this predicament.
Saturday, the FAA grounded all 171 MAX 9s in the U.S. In 2019, all MAX jets were grounded for 619 days after 2 deadly crashes linked to a design flaw killed 346. Here in Portland, a schoolteacher found the missing door panel in his backyard. That plug door replaces an optional emergency exit on some 737s. Pilots flying the plane now at the center of the investigation reported pressurization warnings on 3 separate occasions in the weeks prior. The day before the incident, Alaska restricted the use of the newly built 737 so it wouldn't fly over the ocean, according to the National Transportation Safety Board.
So if you don't trust the plane to fly over water, should it have been flying at all?
It's an excellent question. That is something we're going to have to evaluate through our investigation.
Board Chair Jennifer Homendy.
Now, this plane was at 16,000 feet or so. What happens if it had been at cruise altitude?
We could have lost the aircraft. At that point, the pressure differential is so great that the explosion would have been extremely violent, extremely.
Oh, it is scary to hear that. Chris Van Cleve is back with us. All right, Chris, United and Alaska Airlines are the only ones with this type of plane. How big of an issue is this for Boeing?
This is a big issue. United and Alaska are two of Boeing's best customers, so you have hundreds of their flights being canceled daily. You also have a bigger issue. You have Boeing's stock price down sharply on Wall Street, and this comes at a time when they've been dealing with quality control issues for some time and are looking to ramp up production of the 737 MAX, which is a cash cow for Boeing.
This investigation just getting underway. Chris, thank you so much. Let's turn now to some breaking news with an explosion at a hotel in Fort Worth, Texas. The ATF is on the scene where nearly a dozen people were injured. The huge blast, which sent a massive amount of debris flying across the historic downtown area. CBS's Jason Allen is there. Good evening, Jason.
Good evening, Nora. I'm just about a block away from that historic Sandman Signature Hotel that you were just talking about, where that powerful blast rocked the downtown area this afternoon. The power of the blast so strong that there was debris from that explosion that was sent a block or two in a couple of different directions. You can see what is left of the windows and the facade of that building all littering the street. And there were some other businesses nearby that were also damaged. There was broken glass on the sidewalks and street, either from just the force of the blast or the debris that was sent flying. This explosion happened just after 4 o'clock this afternoon, Eastern time. The fire department, at least initially, believes that this was a gas explosion. There are dozens of firefighters that responded here to the area. Police have taped it off a big part of downtown, at least a couple of blocks in each direction. Right now, we're told there are at least 21 people injured. One of those people in critical condition, another one in serious condition. And we could see at least one person who was taken away from the scene on a stretcher. At times tonight, when the wind blows in the right direction, you can still smell natural gas in the area. This is a 20-story historic building built back in 1920. We talked to one of the people who was in the building when the explosion happened. Nora, he found that the stairwell had been blown away. He had to jump down to the first floor in order to escape.
Frightening situation. Jason Allen, thank you very much. Let's turn now to the weather with a 1-2 punch of massive winter storms slamming the country from the Pacific Northwest to New England. Nearly 250 million Americans are in the path of dangerous weather across 47 states, including many with blizzard warnings, tornado warnings, and flood alerts. Let's bring in meteorologist Mike Bettis from our partners at the Weather Channel. Good evening, Mike.
Nora, good evening. Another blockbuster storm creating dangerous weather for almost everyone east of the Rockies. Severe weather across the south, highlighted in red the most likely areas for tornadoes even. Heavy rain pouring out of this one. It happens overnight.